Hello, and welcome back to the Misty Morrison Podcast. I'm your host, Misty Morrison, and this is episode 71 of Petty Please. Here on the Misty Morrison Podcast, we love to read or listen. We love to see all the stories of pettiness, entitlement, revenge, bad bosses, bad neighbors, all the things, and be grateful that drama is not our story. Before we get into our stories for the day, our usual housekeeping. Whether you are new or returning, please remember to engage with the content to help the channel grow. Every little bit of online engagement is free and can help build the dream. Subscribing is the number one thing you can do to help the algorithm in my favor. If you're on YouTube, you can hit the bell icon to be notified every time I post a new video. Everywhere you're at, give it a like, a heart, a thumbs up. Comment with your thoughts on the stories down below. Share it with a friend if you liked it. And if you're on podcast, please leave a 5-star review if you liked it. Long form content goes live on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 a.m. on podcast and YouTube. And short form content goes live 3 times daily. All right, into our stories for the day. Story number 1 is coming to us from r/malicious compliance. That's not funny. Go home for the weekend. TLDR at the bottom. Over 20 years ago, I changed an old-timer's computer screensaver. You know, the old one that just had a word banner scrolling over and over. The flashbacks. I worked in sales. There was an old guy named Bob. He was annoying, maybe because I was young, but he annoyed everyone. The kind of old guy that would lie through his teeth to get some of your commission. Being older, he had more freedoms with customers. It drove us crazy. He would let people leave, or they wanted to buy but wanted to use a coupon. He would disconnect the call or get rid of the customer a few different ways. But that meant we as other associates couldn't make the sale. As a team, we couldn't hit bonuses. He would do many other things like this that would just drive you crazy. He was just a difficult coworker and a bad employee, but he had been around the industry a long time, so guys that were now managers favored him because of their past, whether it was with this company or others. He was just annoying. Too many reasons to list why, and I was young and didn't have much of a care, and different perception of professionalism when I was a kid. So one day I changed the screensaver to say Bob is a jackass. You just went right there. I watched him type in his password, waited until he left, then changed it. It scrolled across the screen, over and over, and he didn't notice at first. It looked like the same old have a nice day or whatever scrolling. We all would giggle as we walked by and saw it. It was just funny to see. A day or so later, he's sitting in his cubicle chatting away. His screensaver must have popped up. You hear, "What is this?" And he reads, "Bob is a jackass. Who did this? This is defamation. Who did it?" The office is laughing. He is pissed. Goes right into a manager's desk. "Someone is defaming my name. This is workplace harassment. I want to know who did it." He makes it to HR, even the owner's office. We don't know anything other than him complaining to the manager. The manager is saying, "Let's see." Seeing it, giggling himself, then telling Bob, "Come on, calm down, I'll change it," which he did. "Let's go take a walk and talk." Bob is not having it, but they walk off talking. We go back to work, not thinking about it anymore. About an hour or two later, a different manager says, "Hey, Mr. Johnson wants to see you upstairs." Cool. It wasn't uncommon. He would call associates up for customers or tasks, or reviews, or whatever. As soon as I get in the office, he says, "What the F are you doing? Are you trying to get me sued?" This guy is an absolute nightmare. Do you know he has sued that company and that one? Why would you do that? You know it's on security camera, right? Using someone else's password? You're not supposed to use or share passwords ever. I said, it was a joke. None of us thought it was that big of a deal. We often share passwords so we can get info we need. We're all on the same team. He replied, "That's a policy violation. That's it. You better hope I can keep him from causing a bigger issue. Go home for the next 3 days. You're suspended. Get out of my office. Get out of my building now." I walked out the back door, down the back stairs to my car, and was gone. This was Wednesday, so that meant I had a 5-day weekend. Heck yes, I was stoked. As I made it to my car, I can hear someone yelling, "Hey, James, James! Peggy wants to see you." Peggy was the HR lady. I ignored it, backed out, and drove out the other direction. 15 minutes later, my phone is ringing. I'm not answering. No way. Those were the days. Cell minutes were expensive. I get home, tell my wife we have a 5-day weekend. It's barely 12 o'clock. We head out to hit the beach about 3.5 hours away. We are excited. About an hour later, my phone is called over and over. My wife says just answer it, so I do. "Hey James, this is Peggy. I need you to sign some forms about the 3-day suspension." "Sorry, Peggy, I was told to leave." "I left. I am now out of town. I will have to sign another time." She's not thrilled, but not much we can do. Then a moment later, another call. It's my direct supervisor. "James, where are you? We need the numbers put together for this client coming in today. And you had the presentation stored on and this and that. Where are you?" "Mr. Johnson sent me home for messing with Bob's screensaver." "Nobody told me." "Why didn't you come down and tell me?" "Well, come back and give me the reports and send the files to me." "Sorry, I was told to leave the building right now. I have actually already left town. I am over an hour away and won't be turning around." "Then give me your password." "I can't do that either. I was told not to share them." "Sorry, sir. My phone minutes are being used and I can't talk much longer. I don't know what to tell you. Mr. Johnson sent me home, said leave and not to share passwords. I am about to go through the coastal hills and will lose reception. Be here first thing tomorrow morning. We need to keep these projects moving." "Well, sir, I won't be back until Monday. I was told to leave for 3 days." "You have to be kidding. He didn't mean 3 days. I will talk with him." I turned my phone off. Back then, turning your phone off wasn't like turning off a smartphone, so no big deal. But Sunday, when I listened to messages, my manager was telling me Mr. Johnson didn't realize we had projects in the works that I was leading, and that he wants me to come back the next day. Then the next day, his message was my manager saying Mr. Johnson is okay if I provide my password to my manager just this time. Hey, he said leave. I left. He said no sharing. No sharing. He said 3 days. For a company that never gave any time off, it was awesome to have a nice long weekend. Came back to work and in this shitty business. No big deal. Nothing happened. They made or didn't make the deal. Maybe postponed it. Wasn't my problem anymore. They worked up new reports and half-assed presentations. It was all back to normal. It wasn't like now I was in trouble. Nope. Had my days off and some more. And back to work on Monday making a sale. And when you're in sales, problems go away if you sell something. Oh my goodness. Never put anything in writing if you don't want to get in trouble for it, but it worked out for you. You got a 5-day weekend, you got time off, you went to the beach. It worked out great. They had to suffer for it. Hopefully they learned a lesson about communication instead of just getting mad and being like, get out, don't come back for 3 days. Hopefully they learn about communication, chain of command, letting the right people know before you send somebody away. But I'm happy for you. Story number 2 is coming to us from r/malicious compliance. Server rules. Today we had a new employee start working in the restaurant. She had some questions. One being, does manager hit on everyone? Manager came in back to the kitchen and said to me, a server, don't come in the kitchen anymore. I don't need to explain that this hinders my job performance drastically. So I asked him to get bread to take to a table while I stood in the server alley. Then I went into the kitchen to ask if my food was up. Finally, I called into the busy kitchen asking if I had an order up. Manager had enough and said, you can come into the kitchen and you're really pissing me off. It made my petty heart glow. He said don't come in, so you didn't come in. Worked out for you. And it doesn't seem like it took very long at all. Story number 3 is coming to us from r/malicious compliance. Only stamp the forms that are complete. So I stopped fixing them first. I used to work at a front desk where people brought in forms all day. Most forms had tiny mistakes, missing date, signature in the wrong box, one checkbox skipped, normal stuff. I would point it out before stamping so they could fix it and avoid coming back later. One supervisor hated that. He said, your job is not to coach people, only stamp the forms that are complete. All right. So I stopped helping before the stamp. I just checked the forms quietly and handed back anything incomplete. By lunch, the waiting area was full of people asking why their forms just kept getting rejected. The same supervisor came out and said, "Can you please just tell them what's missing?" That was literally the old system, but with more chairs involved. Stop helping. Help them. It's like they don't understand the consequences of their words. Story number 4 is coming to us from r/neighbors from hell. Lady ran me off the road while jogging. I blurted something to myself about her dog. A day or two afterwards, I kind of find it funny now. While jogging on public streets, a yappy dog startled me. I blurted out something like, "Stupid damn dog," or something, I forgot now, to myself. About 20 minutes later, a vehicle comes over to my side of the street and a lady says, "Did you say something derogatory to my dog?" Again, I just blurted something out at a conversation level. She would not have been able to hear me, I assume, as I saw no one around anyway, just a yappy dog running along a fence line near the street. So I guess with the lag in time, she watched a video from a home camera or something. I ignored her, but she persisted, and I had to get off the street because she kept moving her vehicle closer to me. In hindsight, I should have turned to jog the other way. That is so bizarre. So what if they said something about your dog? It was words. Your dog didn't even notice. Oh well, people are just emotional. Story number 5 is coming to us from r/neighbors from hell. Neighbors are stealing our water for their landscaping services. How do I lock the spigot? For full context, to not sound like an asshole who keeps grudges, our neighbors to our right were friends with my parents. But I never liked her, but not even relevant here. They have landscaping services every month or even twice a month because they don't do upkeep themselves. Our houses have the water spigots facing each other. Out spigot is on the right side of our house and their spigot is on the left side. We have noticed sometimes that when the landscaping crew leaves, our hose is disconnected. I didn't know until today that my mom told me about it, and I don't know how anybody would react, but I am pissed they're stealing our water, especially when I don't even like them. And today I went out to look at the spigots, and she took the knob off her spigot, so I know she was doing it on purpose to not use her water. I bet you live somewhere where there's a water bill. This is an image of how our spigots look alike. I'm not going to take revenge because that's ridiculous, but I am going to put a stop to her charade. I'm sure this is nothing new and people have gone through this. So I guess what I'm asking is there any way, is there any lock I can buy so that the knob is locked and the water can't be turned on at all? We don't mind if we have to disconnect our hose. We don't have problems with stealing in our area. Not sure how a spigot lock would work. Will it lock the knob so it can't be turned, or will it be like a cover you screw onto the valve and lock with a QR code? Thank you for any advice that comes in. And the first comment says, is there a shutoff valve inside your house? That's the answer. Just isolate that connection when you aren't using it. That is an easier option than what I was thinking, because I found out the hard way. Yes, there are locks for spigots, I guess for cities and towns where you have a spigot just hanging off the outside of your building. Any random person can come up and use your spigot. So where I work, the office building is in town, and one day I needed to clean 2 coolers. I cleaned the first cooler inside in the kitchen using the sink sprayer nozzle. I made the biggest mess. I not only had to clean the cooler, I had to clean the counter, I had to clean the floor. It was awful. So I decided next cooler, there's a spigot on the side of the building. I'm going to go outside to clean this cooler. I won't have to clean up the mess. It'll dry up. So I go outside, take the cooler. I've already sprayed the cooler down with cleaner. I turn the knob. Nothing happens. So I look, and there is some kind of lock. I believe it was inside the spigot, or was it where the knob goes? I think it was inside the spigot, where the water comes out. So anyway, it was a wide connector, the knob and then the 2 spigots coming out. So I'm just I'm feeling very dumb that day because I'm just trying to clean a cooler and I can't turn the water on. Couldn't find a garden hose. Finally looked through the sheds long enough. I found a hose. So I go inside and I ask several people who've worked there for years, how do I turn the water on? Like, this feels dumb, but how do I turn the water on? There's a lock on it. And I actually kind of like that the lock is hidden inside where the water comes out. So you can just turn the knob and not understand why nothing's happening if you don't look up the spigot. So they said there's a key. There's a key for it. Okay, where's the key? Nobody knew. So I have to call maintenance. I look every place that I could find keys. Couldn't find it. So I call maintenance. Oh yeah, the key should be here in this place. Go look in this place. Couldn't find the key. Call maintenance back. I'm in the next town over. I'll be there in about an hour. I'll get the key for you. Maintenance comes an hour away. The key was hanging on a hook beside the hot water heater. Why? I couldn't tell you. I have dedicated that to memory now. I know where to find that key if I need it. But the key was hanging on a hook by the hot water heater. Go into the maintenance closet, get it off the hook. Unlock it. You unlock the one side where the lock is at, and the water comes out the other side. That's why it's a Y connector. This is the longest struggle I ever went through to clean a cooler. But yes, moral of the story, you can buy locks for your outdoor spigots. Maybe try Home Depot or Amazon or something. Oh my gosh, that was a day. Story number 6 is coming to us from r/. Oh no, that's AIO. Oh no, I need another story. Story number 6 is coming to us from r/petty revenge. Truck driver called me, so I lived up to his expectations. I work for a large equipment manufacturer in shipping and receiving. One of our regular suppliers sent a new driver from a different terminal. I was outside working on a project when he pulled in, so I headed back into the receiving dock. When I checked his load, I realized it was something that could go to the storage yard, so I sent him on his merry way. I would have thought that he'd be happy, but no, he just complained that I was too slow and he wouldn't have had time to wait on me anyway. The next day, however, I needed the material he had on his trailer, and boy, did I make a show of taking forever to unload it. I took at least 90 minutes to unload his trailer, and he was pissed off. Come Friday, I decided to screw with him. I unloaded his trailer in 11 minutes and turned the light green for him to get his papers and leave. He came in cussing up a storm, told me I intentionally wasted his time on Wednesday. Multiple expletives later, he stopped yelling at me, and I calmly told him that he told me on Tuesday that I was slow and that I wasn't going to make a liar out of him. He called my boss. My boss told him to piss off. I love that. I love that the boss stood up for you. That's my favorite part. I love what you did. He said you were slow. You were slow. But I hope he knows better now. I hope he learned his lesson. Really excited you have a good boss. Story number 7 is coming to us from r/petty revenge. No telephone number, if that's how you want to play it. My last job was as a warehouse supervisor for an HVAC company. When I started, we were leasing warehouse space in one town. Then about 5 years ago, we needed more space. Our lease was up, so we moved into a larger facility. About 1 year after we moved, I received a call from a lady stating we shipped her something she didn't order and she needs to return it. We rarely shipped anything to individuals, so I asked her what did she receive. She says it is some earbuds. I tell her, we do not stock or ship earbuds. Why do you think it came from us? And she says the package has our address on it. I asked her to send me a picture of the package, and it has our old address on it, but no other info. She has Googled the address and got our phone number. I explained that was our old address, and she needs to contact the company that is leasing our old space. Maybe a week later, I get another call from someone, same issue but a different item. It might have been jewelry or some other small item, and tell them the same thing. I tried to Google the company that moved into our old space with no luck. So I emailed our old landlord and explained I'm getting phone calls because the package company is not putting their name or phone number on items they ship out, and this needs to stop. She emails me back a couple days later with a response from the package company that says, we are just the final delivery company. We do not have any phones. If someone forgot they ordered something, tell them to throw it away. I reply, that has to be bullshit. How can a company not have any phones? They need to put their name and number so I'm not receiving calls. Her reply came back the next day. They say they do not have phones. Ask Google to remove all your company history from that address. Wow, okay, so you aren't going to pressure your new tenant to put a phone number on their packages? Fine. So for the next 3 years, as I averaged about 1 phone call weekly, each time I received a call from someone trying to return something, I explained the issue and gave them the cell number of our old landlord. Yes, because she should have dealt with it when you asked her to. There's no reason for them not having any phones. That's sketchy. That's sketchy. And realizing it's a problem, your customers can't get a hold of you about packages, and you're just like, oh, tell them to throw it in the trash. What is going on? The landlord should have dealt with it when you asked her to, or at least not acted quite like this, and you probably wouldn't have given her cell phone number out. Story number 8 is coming to us from r/petty revenge. I crack myself up when I remember this incident. A story posted here last week reminded me of the satisfying revenge episode from my past. A necessary piece of background info. I've been living for about a decade overseas. I had returned to my hometown with my foreign acquired husband after my mother's death, as she left me a house. Hobbs was having cultural adjustment problems, mostly having to do with food. My hometown had no halal meat store. This being a mid-Atlantic state, one thing we did have in great abundance was roadkill deer, everywhere. My Hobbs got the fresh off the banana boat idea that if he found a just struck deer, he'd halal it, and put it out of its misery, by slicing its throat and claiming the meat. Dumbest idea ever. But he was struggling. Toward this end, he'd placed a knife in the door pocket of the car he drove. One day, I took his car to work. I passed a slowpoke driver on a 2-lane road through a park, and he caught up to me after the first red light after the park. I didn't notice his was the car behind me. I'd taken no particular notice of the vehicle I'd passed. Then, as I'm idling, stopped at the light, my car suddenly lurches. I thought, transmission? Clutch slipped? What was that? As I was pondering it, it happened again, and I realized the car behind me is butting me. I realized, looking in the rearview mirror, it must be the guy I passed a mile ago, bumping me with his car. Light turned green and I took off. The road becomes 4-lane, and at the next light, he pulls up beside me and rolls down his window, gesticulating and frothing. I look at him, thinking about rolling down my window, when I see, there in the door pocket, my husband's just in case I come across a deer I can eat knife. It's a full-on large butcher knife from our kitchen. I pull it up and turn to Mr. No One Can Pass Me in the other lane, putting in the most demented face I could muster. Think Regan, the girl possessed in The Exorcist, at her creepiest, scariest, and started smiling at him while jabbing the knife up in the air in vicious downward strokes, all from the safety of my own locked car, windows up. He took off like a bat out of hell when the light changed, and I turned off that road at the next light, losing him. But I chuckled all the way to work that day. This took such a turn. I thought you were going to say you passed your husband, you hit a deer, and he got to get the deer. The fact that you saw the knife and came up with this plan immediately, I can tell you like horror movies. I mean, but it's awesome. Like, you were scared this guy was being threatening. I would have been trying my best to get his license plate number, because, like, look, you're hitting my car, you're paying for this damage. Plain and simple, calling the police. Or even call the police as soon as you realize he was bumping you, if you had a cell phone. But scaring the living hell out of him, I hope it worked and he never did that to anybody again. I can just picture it and it's hilarious. Good for you for quick thinking. Okay, that is 8 stories for this week's episode of Petty Please. Thank you so much for being here for another episode of the Misty Morrison Podcast. Remember, start each day with a grateful heart. Kindness changes everything. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.